Welcome to Namibia. Welcome to Namibia. My name's Luke.
And my name's Lizzie.
And for the last 10 days, we've just driven around about 3,000 kilometres in a huge clockwise circle from Windhoek down to Sossusvlei, up to Spitzkoppe, and then on to Etosha, and now it's our final night.
So maybe you're watching this video because you're thinking about a trip to Namibia, and we're here to tell you that it would be the best idea ever. So stick around, we'll show you the highs, the lows, the route we took, maybe some tips along the way, and hopefully convince you to book that trip here.
Well, this is a different start to the holiday. Normally we take a taxi or something, but going down to the Lizzie line, got the luggage. To meet Lizzie, actually. We'll be in Ethiopia in about 12 hours time, and then in Windhoek 6 hours after that. I can't wait to go. I'm kind of done with London. When I saw the fire engines, I did briefly wonder if there was a fire, but it was to celebrate International Women's Day, and the First Lady of Namibia was there to greet the all-female crew of our flight. After picking up our car, we headed south to Solitaire, where we spent the night and woke up early the next day to see the sunrise over the huge sand dunes in Sossusvlei. So this is meant to be the road, but there's been a lot of rain. And we're following this chimney along that's doing a great job actually. Having arrived at sunrise, we were some of the first tourists to try this road, which actually is beneath all this water. We're in 4x4. It's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. Bit of adventure. Look at the road. That's crazy. It's bloody cloudy. I'm beginning to think this trip's going to be maybe a bit unlucky. It's raining in the desert. It's cloudy. But I mustn't complain because it's a different view of these enormous sand dunes that we're just walking up. This is Big Daddy, tallest one in the world. How big was it?
300 something metres, I think.
300?
I think so.
Oh, we're not walking to the top of that then. But yeah, it's mighty. It is still beautiful. You just don't get those lovely shadows. We've just walked across this ridge here with the intention of going to the top, but sort of having reached this point we kind of got a bit bored of walking on the sand, and having come down here I'm pleasantly surprised because it's an amazing salt flat. This is Deadvley, which I need to look up the meaning of. Probably something to do with all of those dead trees that you see all over the internet when the sky's lovely and blue and you get the sort of red sand behind it. And that is the biggest sand dune in the world. That's as tall as the Shard. By this point, we'd been on the go for a good chunk of time, so we headed for an early night. Well, if you haven't guessed, this morning we're off hot air ballooning. That's so cool.
It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Look at that. That's so cool, isn't it? Now, hot air ballooning is completely dependent on the direction of the wind, and in our instance it blew straight down the valley, and so either side of us were the enormous sand dunes that you can see in this clip. Now, they're not allowed to fly over the dunes for the obvious reason that if they land there, there's no way of retrieving you.
Tricky winds this morning after the rains, the wind is unstable.
I think that wasn't really planned, right?
No.
But it's a nice kind of...
There's no plan though,
No.
There's just, you just go with the wind. I've come down to slow down now, and I'm hoping it's going to drag us back into the riverbed there on the left. crew said there's a south wind on the ground, and there isn't.
Fortunately for us, our pilot landed exactly opposite where breakfast had been set up, at the foot of one of the iconic dunes. Having woken up at sunrise, we had a lot of time spare, and so we headed to Sossusvlei to try to see the dunes in the bright sunlight. And believe it or not, this is the same road that was underwater yesterday. We've put on our factor 90, and we've come back, and look at this, not a cloud in the sky, nor many people here, probably because it's midday and it's about 40 degrees, but so worth it. This is what we were expecting. Yeah, really happy with that. Taking some hopefully good pictures, which I'll put on the screen now. Having filled up with 140 litres of diesel, we set out on the drive to Spitzkoppe. This is one of the longest drives that we did during our trip, and as you can see, the scenery was hugely varied. Okay, I didn't film all of it, but trust me, there were sections where you were going through gorges, there were sections of desert, there were sections of green where it had rained.
I think the most beautiful drive we've ever done in my life.
It's a big claim.
Yeah. That's a pretty epic route, but this.
This is quite special, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got 190k to go. Come on, a splash. Hey, nice one. We eventually arrived in Spitzkoppe to a noticeably cooler climate. It had gone from 40 to 15 degrees C, and we had dinner watching the sunset at the tug. Kayaking at Pelican Point was one of the best things we did. This narrow spit just off the coast of Walvis Bay is home to over 100,000 Cape fur seals, and they're not shy. They pop up right beside the kayak, dive underneath it, and they follow us like little flippered shadows. The whole place exists thanks to the Benguela Current, a cold, rich stream that makes this coastline one of the most productive in the world. Basically, loads of fish, loads of seals. But the bit that really sticks with us is the sound. Both of these experiences were organised by Soundwaves, a local tour that somehow made seal chaos and desert silence part of the same day. After the water, we headed straight into the Namib desert, and our guide drove us over shifting dunes and into this vast golden emptiness. Then he asked us to listen, and we heard something totally unexpected. That low rumbling sound is known as singing. It happens when dry grains of sand shift and slide past one another and vibrate, creating that characteristic sound. It's actually pretty rare, and so we were lucky to hear it. You can see the dunes here are much lighter than the deep red of Sossusvlei, with grey streaks in caused by magnetite, an iron-rich mineral which you can see respond to a magnet through a hand here. That same iron contact makes the sand noticeably hotter underfoot, which we found out pretty quickly. It's the only place on Earth where desert like this runs straight into the sea. Magnetic sand, booming dunes and ocean views, not a bad way to spend the day. I thought I'd give you a tour of what it's like to camp in Africa. So we got our roof tent here, and each night we've been arriving in places where you get a little sort of shelter area to dry stuff out. Although we're right by the coast at the moment and it's pretty wet. So, morning routine, got ourselves some German cereal and then brewing the coffee. Got a fridge here that we plug in each night, and then its battery throughout the day runs off the car battery. The roof tent's super easy to erect, you literally just drop it over like that. And then in the back of the car we've got these four kind of stacker boxes which have got the kind of your crockery set in here, and then all your cooking utensils, and then the stuff back there is a bit more roughy tufty, like a shovel to get you out of misery, tools to fix the car, spare tyre here, spare tyre underneath the car, and the car itself I'm so impressed with. As you see, for some of the driving it's done like proper off-roading. It's really, really impressive. So yeah, that's tenting in Africa. From Spitzkoppe we headed to Spitzkoppe, a famous rock formation in the middle of the desert, which often people state is the highlight of their trip. And so we headed up there with bated breath to see what awaited. We arrived at sunset, and the colour of the rocks just glowed as the sun beat down on them. Looking through the famous window at the 1,000-metre granite rock Spitzkoppe rising out of the desert floor was something special. When we were there, we both remarked that it looked a lot like Pride Rock in The Lion King, and though I can't find anything online, I reckon that there must have been a bit of inspiration when they came to see this. Arriving at our campsite, we started the well-rehearsed evening routine of unpacking everything we owned, setting up the stove, starting a fire, chopping up the vegetables, and then sitting down for a little drink whilst the fire got going. On tonight's episode of Namibian Kitchen, Luke and Lizzie are cooking some African sausage, some beaten up on the road broccoli. Talk us through the dinner, Lizzie. How's it going?
It's looking good. We've got some steamed potatoes and broccoli.
Very nice. Oh, and they're actually boiling now. Look
On
at
the
that.
fire.
That is good, isn't it? And we're serving it with. Come with me into the restaurant area. What do we have?
We've got giant sausage and corn on the cob.
Delicious. Served in a elegant atmosphere of smoke-filled, insect-filled Namibian camping.
Really nicely.
It's looking very good. Overlooking Spitzkoppe and the beautiful purple sky. And apparently there's a leopard that lives here. I'm hoping not to see this evening. But if I do, I'll take a photo. And you'll know how I died. Having not met the leopard, we packed up the truck and set on our way to Damaraland, our next destination. Is it a turned car? Nah, I think you're right. It's something. Motorbike, is it? Is he alright? That was an adventure. The guy that you just saw pinned under his motorbike, he'd been lying there for 10 minutes.
It was so chilled. We just cruised up. We were like, oh, what is that? And as we got closer, yeah, it was obviously, yeah. You roll down your window and, are you okay? No. Do you need help? Yes. And then we just picked up a 220 kilo motorbike off his legs.
And that was, he said, it was without his luggage, so I think it must have weighed like a quarter of a ton.
It must have been, yeah.
Which is why he was pinned down. It took both of us to lift it. It was pretty heavy.
And we could only lift it like,
oh, barely.
what, inches, just so he could wiggle his feet out.
Yeah, poor guy.
And then, yeah, we just got chatting to him, and he's driven from Switzerland down here, so we're now sort of, midway through Namibia. And yeah, he's driven all that way. He said that he'd only fallen off in Nigeria, but because there was loads of people there was many people to help him. And so here, obviously, where there's absolutely nothing, when he fell off, nobody was around to help him apart from us. So yeah, what a pit of luck. He would have just been stuck there. Anyway, he would have.
He's travelling for 2 years. He's heading down to Cape Town, where he's got a boat to South America, and then he's going to keep riding his bike up there. Wild.
What a journey, what an adventure.
One day. For a safari, looking for desert elephants is the only thing that you can see in this area of Namibia, and they're specially adapted to survive in the desert. It's really nice actually just being out in the vehicle, isn't it? We've been sat in the car for so long. It's nice to be driven. I'm enjoying this. Yeah, I know. It's a lot of driving. Anyway, look at this. It wasn't long before we spotted that classic silhouette of an elephant on the horizon.
Wow.
These are Namibia's desert-adapted elephants. Now, they're not a separate species, but are savanna elephants that have learned to survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. They walk up to 70 kilometres a day in search of water and have wider feet and longer legs to move across the sand more easily. They're also gentler on the landscape, stripping leaves instead of tearing down entire trees, but life comes here at a cost. Their diet of dry, tough vegetation wears down their molars faster than usual. Elephants only get 6 sets of teeth in their lifetimes, and when the last set wears out, they can no longer feed properly. That's why desert elephants often die younger, sometimes as early as their 30s or 40s. Still, they thrive here against all odds, as you can see by the baby, enjoying his time at this watering hole that the matriarchs have led them to. So this evening we're trying something a bit different. We've got these logettes, which are look like this. Not because you run out of logs, but because we thought we'd try those. Here is fire starter extraordinaire. However, I don't know why, but all of these matches have gone wet. They're soggy. Don't know why. So we're struggling to light them. Fortunately, we've got a gas bottle. Oh, hello. Go on. There we go. Oh, that's good news. Okay, nice. Top through the crow. See how this goes. And then we're going to cook a springbok on it. We've been at this for 5 days now. And I think we finally got the hang of it. Be it unpacking this in the right way, getting the right boxes out, knowing what's in them. I mean, starting a fire. Manage that. This is glorious. Look, we're completely on our own. We're running low on grape juice, so cheers. The day started quietly, just us and the open road. We had no idea who we'd end up sharing it with. Oh my god.
I must be seated on top of you.
No problem.
Okay. I'll take this bed.
Sure. Okay.
Morning. Good morning.
Morning. Hello. Okay.
Wait. Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Is this your wife?
Yes, it's my wife.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, and you?
Good. So, this morning you joined me in the back of our hire car because the place in which we stayed, the security guard needed a ride into town, and obviously the journeys are huge, so it's 100 kilometres. And on the way he's had to collect his wife. So we've got a load of luggage here. Lizzie's driving, and then our friend is in the front here with his wife. I love it. I have to be pretty careful on these roads because they're quite bumpy and only one of them can wear a belt, so he's going to hit the ceiling if we're not careful. Having dropped off our friends, though I'm not sure it's a 5-star review on Uber, we continued on our way up to Etosha along tarmacked roads, which was pure delight after a lot of time on gravel and sand. We've just arrived at our place to stay tonight in Etosha National Park. It's absolutely glorious. However, the place we're staying is called Dolomite Resort, and you stay in these little sort of shacks. I mean, shack is probably really underselling it. It looks pretty posh, to be honest. It's positioned on the top of this kind of rocky mound, and I've already had to sign a form which basically says if you get eaten by a lion in the night, it's not their fault, you can't sue them. I'll give you a quick tour of the room itself because it's really nice in here. Look, there you go. For some reason we've got twin beds. Did you do that? Alright. And then mozzie net, because we are getting eaten in here. Oh wow. Jungle shower. Oh, that's really nice, isn't it? Le toilette. What is it? Is it a drop? Oh no, look at that. The highlight of this place is, by far, this view, which is straight out across the plains. Obviously on this camera, what you can't see, but I'll flip to it, is the herds of zebra, the buffalo, the giraffe that are all out there. And we're going on a safari at 3 o'clock. Come along for the ride, see what we find. Etosha National Park is huge. It's over 22,000 square kilometres, which is almost the size of Wales. But despite its size, sightings often come down to one thing: water. In the dry season, life revolves around Etosha's natural and man-made waterholes. dusty clearings where animals gather in huge numbers to drink, socialise and sometimes fight. But we visited during the rainy season, as you can see, because everything's green. Water is therefore everywhere, puddles, in the grass, even on the roads, so animals don't need to come to the watering holes, which means seeing anything becomes complete luck. So when we arrived at this one, and it slowly filled with over 40 elephants, we knew we'd hit the jackpot. And how much do you think he weighs?
Those are the 6 to 7 ton guys.
Wow.
If you look at the other family there on the other side there's a little one.
Yeah.
To me I think it's the tiniest. Just look under there.
Oh
in the
yeah,
middle.
he's so small.
He's so small, he's so tiny. He will not be even be allowed to be on his own. He will always be in the middle. Look at that.
He's quite tiny.
I can even pick him up and run with him.
After 6 nights of tents and campfires, a pool, an oryx steak and a real bed felt like pure luck and perfect timing before we hit the road again the next day. Our luck spotting animals didn't continue, and all we saw was this giraffe and a few zebra on our trip from Dolomite to Halali, which was 250 kilometres, which is an awful long way when you can only drive at 60 kilometres per hour. And when the rains came, I thought, oh dear, this isn't going to be a good night's sleep. Campsite this evening, inside Etosha. Lots of wildlife, including this guy, who isn't camera shy. We've dropped a bit of pasta, not deliberately, but he's been quick to snaffle it. He's going for it, there we go. Enjoying that? We'd booked an early morning game drive with a guide to get out before the sunrise, when the air is cool and predators are generally more active. And right as the sun broke just over the horizon, we struck gold. A young male lion lying in the tall grass with the golden light on his pale mane glowing. Lions in Etosha are elusive. There's only about 300 that live across the entire park, and they're mostly nocturnal. They sleep for up to 20 hours a day, and so catching one like this felt like a rare privilege. As we moved on, we found the remainder of the pride, a group of lionesses lying low under a tree, conserving their energy in the rising heat. Interestingly, lionesses in the same pride often develop tightly bonded social structures. They groom each other, rest together, and even greet with specific vocalizations and head rubs, a kind of social glue that maintains harmony in the group. Not long after, we spotted black rhino in the distance, a treat in itself given their endangered status. I half joked that all we needed now was a leopard to complete the dream, and then, as we turned the corner, there she was, a leopard and her 2 cubs padding across the road and settling in the shade under a bush. We watched, barely breathing, as they sat just long enough for me to get this video and etch the moment into our memories. We watched on as she walked off into the long grass with her cubs, and what I think is incredible is you can see how effective the camouflage is. You know, she only has to walk here about 4 metres from the truck and she's pretty much invisible. So here's a new one. We've just driven across Etosha National Park, and this is the gate that we need to exit from. And before you exit, you have to have cooked any meat that you've got on you. What we're doing is we're just stopping by this bench to fry off this piece of prime beef fillet so that we've got dinner this evening, because we're staying in a campsite literally just outside the park. And I think it's quite remote, so without access to food we're going to be a bit stuffed. And this is weighs 500 grams, so it's not as good as cooking it over an open flame. I think they'd be a bit annoyed if we started cooking a braai. But we've got loads of gas, so we'll do it on that. Got ourselves the Alva gas grill. Charge. Lit. Beautiful. Nice cast iron saucepan. How long do you reckon you need on an Alva gas stove for it to be medium rare? Bit of clover going in there. So people do this?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. 7 minutes into Meatgate. the ever-functional Leatherman. Anyway, let's close up shop. Okay, we're vlogging. Right, quickly, let's leave Etosha if we can. We survived the beef police. Should we have a look at it? It's now in this. It's going to be by my skanky feet in this little vessel. Ooh, that looks alright. Look, that looks. Oh, it smells. Quickly, now let's smuggle it out before we get bollocked again. Cheers. After our final night of tenting, we headed on our way to Franz Ndongo Lodge, where we spent our final 2 nights.
And so you rejoin us here on the final night where we're having a little bit of an R&R after many nights in the tent, and we thought it'd be useful to wrap up the video with our highs, maybe a low each, and then some tips that we think that would be really helpful if you were considering coming over here. So Luke, what would you say your 3 highs are?
Thanks, Lizzie. I'd say my top 3 were probably the driving, actually. Like, the scenery in the drive was amazing.
I think, sorry, just to cut in there, I think it's really hard, maybe it comes across on camera, but it's really hard to explain what the vastness of the land is like. You're driving hundreds of kilometres, and it's just, the landscape changes all the time, and I think it's really hard to explain what that's like, but hopefully it comes across on camera, and it's just, the driving is a huge part of it. Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but the distances are insane. We were planning and we were chunking things up into 250k stints, and it got a little bit tiring at times, but you have to remember that the country is vast, and that's part of the journey. So that's my kind of top 1. Next, probably Sossusvlei, actually. The first day in the rain, that was an experience because nobody had seen that for over 5 years apparently, so seeing rain in Sossusvlei was awesome. And then the next day we went back to see it in the sunshine. For me, that was kind of part of the reason for coming to Namibia, really. I wanted to see dead vlei, those dead trees, the white sand, salt basin, and the dunes around it with the blue sky. That was perfect. Yeah.
So I loved
like
that.
A postcard.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally the seals. Whenever you seals sounded like lambs. And seeing them swim all around you, and the number of them was amazing. That was really good. So the kayaking with seals is absolutely something I recommend. Lizzie, top 3?
So my top 3, the air balloon, hot air balloon. I'd never ever been in one of those before, so yeah, it was definitely experience of a lifetime. I will say it is an expense. It is not a cheap thing to do, and I think we really ummed and ahed about it for a while, and it's something I'd say we're definitely glad we did. The experience from start to finish was amazing. Number 2, probably the leopard and her cubs. Seeing that, I think we just thought there's no way we're going to see a leopard, let alone that. And even, I don't know if you saw, but even the guide got his phone out and was taking photos, and he said, I can't remember the last, he'd been doing it for years and years, couldn't remember the last time he'd seen a leopard and her cubs, so that felt really special. And then my final one, maybe the sand wave stool. I think was really unexpected. I think just as a whole I really enjoyed that day. You said the seals already, so I think that was just, it was like a world, like another world that we've never been to before. Listening to the sounds of the dunes was super eerie, and I think that was pretty good.
Should we finish with just some top tips?
Well, lows. I think it's only fair. You got to give a low. You can't. There's always, as with any travel trip, there's always highs and lows. So I'd say low for you.
For getting ill. I got pretty ill on the first day. I don't know if it was weak British stomach or washing my teeth with water out of a tap that I shouldn't have, but what then followed was the classic kind of emptying myself out, and a pretty bad fever actually in the tent.
The fever was pretty scary.
Yeah, but I've survived. I'm alive. But that was still a low.
Low for me, I didn't love the rain in the tent, if I'm honest. I know it's a fact of life and fact of camping. I think it woke me up quite a lot, and I don't know, didn't love
you
that.
Princess.
Yeah.
You, what a princess. Honestly.
What can I say?
So then, top tips. Number 1, At the airport, when you land, the cash machine that we found, the Bank of Windhoek cash point, only deposits South African rand, and at the time we were like, oh no, is that okay? But it turns out that the exchange rate between South African rand and Namibian dollar is broadly 1-to-1, and rand and dollar are accepted universally throughout Namibia. So that was a discovery.
Top tip from me, I would say, is to make a plan for your food. Unless maybe you're an experienced camper and you know the lay of the land, but we'd never really had experience of camping or cooking together in that way, and we sort of winged it. And I think you land off a flight and you're very tired, and then you go around the supermarket and you're just sort of like, okay, well, can I cook this? Can I cook that? And I think, yeah, just remember that you've got the option of potentially a fire, but pretty much one hob. So yeah, maybe have a few like one hob meals, a bit of meat or whatever, a vegetarian food over the braai. And yeah, just go in with a plan, because I think we winged it and it turned out okay. We've had some good meals, some not so good meals, but yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So one thing you might have picked up on from the vlog itself was that we didn't spend too much time down south in Sossusvlei. The distance from Windhoek to Sossusvlei is a bloody long way, and we kind of underestimated that. We left Windhoek having landed from Ethiopia at about 5 p.m, and so we were driving in the dark, and we got a bit lost. We ended up going down a dried up riverbed, mounting reasonably sized boulders on the way, and I was thinking, this doesn't really feel like a road. So I'd certainly spend the night in Windhoek if you're landing late, so that you're feeling rested ahead of that drive before heading down to Sossusvlei.
I think, yeah, and obviously if you've got more time, take more time to do everything. We've done everything on a kind of classic British annual leave schedule, so we only had these 12 days and we made the most of it, and we kind of accepted that we'd have quite a few days on the road, or quite a lot of time on the road. But yeah, if you've got more time, absolutely take it.
I'll put a load of links in the description to a lot of the activities that we've done, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for plenty more adventures to come. Thanks.
Thanks for watching.